Welcome in to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. It's a Wednesday. That means it's Supernatural News Wednesday and Parashare. And by the way, we do have a Parashare story for today, so we'll get that out to you as well. Truth in advertising, folks. This is actually the second time we're recording this show today. I'm not lying to you. We had a little bit of what we like to call technical demons. I mentioned that on yesterday's program. I don't know what happened. It's just we were due. We haven't had technical issues or technical demons in quite a while, so I suppose everybody's got to get snake bit every once in a while. So we need to bring in a co-hostess. We bring in a co-hostess that, of course, is intelligent. She's witty. She's funny. And for one of the first times that I can remember, we have her on video today. So you get an extra bonus. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring her in. Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jessica.
Hello. Yeah, we're doing video. Awesome.
I know. Thanks for agreeing to do the video bit today. I appreciate that.
No problem. Happy to be here. Face and voice and all.
You know what this means now, right?
What does it mean?
That means Mally's got to step up.
Uh-oh. No pressure.
You've thrown down the gauntlet, my friend. This is big. This is huge now. So I'm just saying, I wasn't trying to put any pressure on anyone. I simply just was saying, I'll just do it for interviews, just to take the pressure off of everybody, and no rush, no big deal. But now you were like, oh yeah, video, no big deal. Whoopsie.
Well, it seemed like a necessity because we need the backup audio just in case. We don't want to have to film this 3 times.
That's right. And it is a good idea just to, to do the audio video backup. So balls in your court, Mal.
I'm gonna say we're not pressuring Mally. We're not pressuring her. Whatever she's comfortable with.
That's right. So if she wants to, if she wants, we can just put the little card up that says Mally Fox and continue to put her under the black shroud if she wishes. It's up to her. She can do that.
You might wish you did that with me when my kids start coming in the door and I have to mute myself and the dogs are jumping on my lap.
That's true. Now we'll throw the disclaimer out. It's okay if there's dogs on your lap, by the way. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. If there's doggies there, I don't care. And I don't think anybody else should care. So don't stop the show and go, there's a doggy on my lap. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Okay. And if a kid comes in, which by the way, I did get 1 or 2 emails saying, what was the EVP in last week's episode?
Oh, I wondered if anyone would notice. The weird thing was my daughter came in and said dinner was ready. Mm-hmm. And my mic was on because I was speaking but her voice was so loud, it was almost like she was in my microphone, but she was all the way on the other side of the room.
That's the big secret about microphones, right? A whisper is louder than speaking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because treble
just educated me.
Treble carries further than bass. So what happens is a whisper carries louder than your voice.
Oh. Well, I even wondered if it was an EVP.
Yeah.
I didn't remember she had come in at that point. So I was listening to it and I was like, what was that? I rewound it like 3 times.
Well, what happened is I remembered it because I marked it on the file and I went, I'm going to leave it in. I want to see if anybody will catch it. Well, sure enough,
she was delighted by it because she's like, oh my gosh, my voice was on the podcast.
So I left it in because I figured, well, I want to see if anybody catches it. I want to see if anybody goes, oh, you have a voice. You have a voice in the file, Tim. I think there's a ghost. There's a ghost somewhere in your studios. No. No, dinner was ready. Go back and listen.
Dinner was ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dinner was ready. That was it. So there you go. You got what you paid for, kids. I just want to see how good our little amateur investigators are out there. That's all.
And they were listening. I love it.
Yeah. So, you get what you pay for. So that's all there is to that. We got a big show today, Jess. So we're gonna stomp through our stories today, and we're chock-a-block full of them. We've got or full of it, one or the other. We've got alien stories abound. We had so many stories this week that I actually had to not put stories in the newscast.
Wow.
Yeah. That's rare that I actually have to not put news stories in there. We've got alien stories. We've got planet stories. I may even cut a few stories that we used the first time out of this week's newscast because we literally don't have time for those news stories. Yeah, we've got planetary stories this week. We've got ghost stories this week. Yes, we have AI stories this week. We do have nightmare fuel. And we've got a Bigfoot story. A couple of high school students graduated high school and went straight to Bigfoot school. So
I love it.
And we will end today's supernatural news with a tale about a vampire, but not the kind of vampire you're thinking about. So that's how we'll end today's show. That's how we end supernatural news today. And we do have a Parashare story for you today. By the way, if you have a Parashare story, you can send it in one of a couple of different ways. You can send it to tim@darknessradio.com, old-fashioned email. Otherwise, you can go to darknessradioshow.com. We have a blue button on the right-hand side of the website. Click on that blue button. You can leave us a voice note. You have 2 minutes to do so. If you need more time, you can just click on the blue button again, leave us another 2 minutes in addition to the 2 minutes you just left. I'll stitch those together. We'll play your voice note here on the show. Now, if you have a lovely studio, just like the one we're sitting in, produce your own darn theater of the mind, send it in to us. We'll play it here on the show. We won't even listen to it. We'll just plop it on the air. You can swear up a storm. You can play sound effects. You can do whatever. Create your own radio drama. Hell, we'll take the day off. Just make it an hour-and-a-half show. No, I'm kidding. We won't do that. We won't go that far. But, close enough, right? Anyways, let's start with our first story, Jess. Earth has a barrier around it stopping aliens from reaching us. This, according to aliens.
Wait, what?
Yeah. But actually, it's more according to a Reddit user who claims that they got this from aliens. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's a
good old trusty Reddit. Let's go.
That's right. That's your grain of salt right there. A new conspiracy theory is dominating the internet after a Reddit user shared what they believe to be evidence showing there's a barrier protecting Earth from aliens. I take a deep breath as I go to read the rest. Multiple aliens have told humans there's a barrier around planet Earth that stops them from coming here without permission. This according to a new conspiracy theory. For centuries, humans have often wondered what aliens actually look like and whether or not if they are even real. That is what the sentence says. I read that exactly word for word.
Good job.
Thank you. I excel at reading bad sentences. However, without concrete, verified proof, nobody has been able to confirm what they are with 100% certainty. Again, written wonderfully. This article shall be, would be, could be. And this has led the human mind to wander into the weirdest parts of the world of conspiracy theories, with the latest one being explored, of course, on Reddit, because it is the home of the conspiracy theory, much like Burger King is the home of the Whopper. Pondering the claim, user at BlitBlit99, that's Blit with one T and then Blit with two T's if you're looking it up on Reddit, 99, posted multiple sources which he cites as evidence, including how an Irish UFO expert believes orbs discussed in NASA meetings are a global defense network. Also supporting his argument was an extract from the book Custodians by Dolores Cannon, which is about UFO abductions and materials from the Law of One, said to be a telepathic conversation with an alien entity. The thread got some people thinking, and many chimed in with their own beliefs. CNY Comp Guy wrote, yeah, fairly good writing, surprisingly accurate. We as a species tend to defend our farms as well, so the observation that this planet is protected by a more advanced intelligence is a solid interpretation of what we've been seeing. Another user, Thargor33, I won't spell it for you, obviously. You can kind of guess on that deal, added, I believe there's a barrier, but it's not a protective barrier to shield us from outside. It's a quarantine barrier to keep us in. Silent. Yeah. Go figure that one, Jess. Yeah. I'll let you ponder that one. I believe this is Silent or PS Lind, one of the other 68, said, "One night I was on my bike on my way home. I took a shortcut through a narrow path. I got off my bike because I had to relieve myself." I can't tell you how many times I've been on my bike and I just take it right out right there. Just as I was about to get on my bike, I heard this whoosh sound and looked up into several light-colored spheres flying in a V formation. So yes, aliens like to check out your junk while you're whizzing outside your bike. So beware, kids. If you're out there whizzing in the wild, they're watching. Aliens are watching you whiz. Silent 68 then went on to say, "It startled me, but I told myself it was geese." Because, by the way, geese like to watch you whiz as well. Just saying. They're Canadian, you know, those geese. The more I think about it, the less I think it was geese. There was no sound other than the whoosh. Because geese are silent peepers. Just saying. The whole thing moved as one object. Nothing was out of formation. They had a dull bluish white glow on the dark blue night sky. Those aliens or geese.
Interesting.
Peeping alien Tom geese. Peepers.
I can't pee in private.
Yep. Peeing peepers. I want to know why you would be so frank about the fact that you hopped off your bike and had to whiz.
What does this teen story have to do with aliens protecting us?
Right. You're like, you know what? This would be a great place for me to tell my whiz story.
He's been holding this one in his pocket a long time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's right. Just saying. Whiz story. I don't think I have a whiz story to tell in public, to be honest with you.
I think if I do, but I don't think I do.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I come up with one, I'll let you know. Put it on Reddit.
Yes, please. Put it on Reddit before you tell us here on the show. I'd appreciate that, Jess. If you would. That'd be great. Got another story here about the chilling last moments of some alien hunters found dead with no injuries after writing an odd note. Coincidentally, has nothing to do with whizzing in public after being on a bike.
I was going to say, did they stop to use the restroom?
Well, as a matter of fact, they did, Jess. The strange case of two men who went looking for aliens and never came home remains unsolved. They were found in baffling circumstances and wearing peculiar masks. So instead of an eyes wide shut peeing in the bushes, there was more of an eyes wide shut and being killed by aliens.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, not such a good ending after all. If the discovery of two dead bodies with no apparent injuries wasn't weird enough, what transpired was totally bizarre. The corpses of Brazilian electronic technicians Manuel Pereira de la Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana were found by 18-year-old Costa Alves, who was out flying a kite one afternoon in August of 1966. Why? Because, well, Atari wasn't a thing in 1966.
No, that was before video games.
That's right. Got to do something. Police and firefighters attended the scene in, I believe this is Ventem Hill in Niterói, Rio de Janeiro, and were shocked to find the bodies dressed in formal wear with waterproof coats and peculiar lead masks over their eyes. Well, somebody was pee-peeing back then, I guess, because the waterproof coats were in play, Jess.
Just in case.
Well, you know, when you got to go, you got to go. Just saying. If the police weren't perplexed already, what they found next was even more confusing. Moments later, they discovered a small notebook with some words which read 1630, as in 4:30 in the afternoon, be at the specified location, 1830, ingest capsules, after the effect, protect metals, await signal mask.
What? They're taking like cyanide capsules?
I think so. Actually, here I have a picture of the weird mask with no eye slits that they were supposed to wear.
Oh, how weird.
Isn't that weird?
This is like some weird Heaven Gate thing.
Yeah. Bizarre, huh? It's almost like if, the mask that Burt Ward wore is Robin, but with no eye holes in it. The dead men. Thanks. I try. I give it at least a little try on the show. Not much, but about
Solid.
That much, yeah. The dead men from a town northeast of the capital had reportedly left 3 days earlier and had planned to buy equipment and a car in San Paulo, according to their families. They had stopped off to buy waterproof coats and went to a bar to buy a bottle of water, evidently to test the coats, I guess.
Very strange.
Because peeing on somebody's leg to test the coats is just not acceptable in San Paulo.
Can only do that if they've been stung by a jellyfish.
That's right. Well,
that's when you pee on each other.
I had a friend recently who was stung by a jellyfish, and I had asked this friend of mine, "Did you pee on it to take off the sting?" And they went, "No, that's ridiculous."
I think it works.
It's supposed to.
I don't know. I've never been stung by one.
I would practically pee up in the air and try to pee on myself if I got stung by a jellyfish. I'm just saying, I will do some ridiculous things to try and take away pain.
I would too. I'm right there with you.
I know I'm getting off on a tangent here, but in the early days of the show, back in 2006, if people remember this, I mean, this is a while back, in 2006, 2007, we used to advertise a cream. I won't say the name of the cream because I'm actually thinking of getting it back. But in the cream, there was a tiny bit of urea in it. It was a pain cream. It worked.
Really?
Yes, it worked like a charm. Jess, this pain cream would take away anything. It was made in Chicago.
Whose pee are they using?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
I volunteer for that job, though. I'll sell my pee. Got two kids in college.
Good Lord, woman! Don't say that too loud. You'll have. Can I just tell you? You will
I'll
have.
sell my pee.
You will have people lined up out the door, woman. If you'd like to buy Jessica's pee, the email.
I accept Venmo.
You accept Venmo? Is that what you just said? You can hit Jessica up at her website. Anyway, but this pain cream had a small bit of concentrated urea in it.
Gross, man.
You would think. I mean, it didn't smell like pee. You didn't go around smelling like somebody had, golden showered you all day. I'm just saying. But, I mean, but it worked. Yeah, slightly. Yeah. Where was I? Yes, the waterproof coats. They went to a bar to buy a bottle of water. A waitress there described Miguel as appearing very nervous. Eventually, they made it to the spot. Thank you. So they didn't end up peeing, which would become the site of their deaths. As news of their deaths broke, theories started to take hold, with a close friend revealing the pair were seeking to find extraterrestrials. He claimed the pair were using the lead masks to protect their eyes from the potentially harsh light of a UFO. The man also said his friends were going to take psychedelic drugs to try to make contact with the extraterrestrials. So, Jess, these men believed that they needed to drop a few shrooms in order to see the ETs.
I just feel like if you're seeing the ETs because you're high on LSD, probably just a trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Reese's Pieces to see them, but not shrooms.
Yes. Just bring your Reese's Pieces.
That's right. One theory from a family who lived nearby also shockingly suggested that a UFO was in fact seen where the men were discovered. To this day, the case remains unsolved, with the bodies being too decomposed to be examined for a toxicology report.
Oh, wow. So someone did witness a UFO in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe they did make contact.
Maybe. We'll move on to a 1965 NASA astronaut's UFO sighting that, believe it or not, it's been solved many years later. And it's not exactly what you think. It's been said that almost everything that the NASA astronaut saw in space could be attributed to a genuine UFO. But this story may be the exception. Astronaut Jim McDivitt had reported seeing an object shaped like a beer can outside the Gemini 4 capsule. I can already hear the skeptics already saying, well, maybe it was a beer can, Tim. Not necessarily. When it comes to UFO sightings, it is often said that astronauts and pilots make particularly good witnesses thanks to the stellar reputation that they have, attention to detail, and their no-nonsense approach. When astronaut Jim McDivitt spotted a strange object during his flight into space aboard NASA's Gemini 4 mission all the way back in 1965, therefore people understandably took notice. Well, he says, at the time, quote, I saw it. I said there was something out in front of me or outside the spacecraft that I couldn't identify, and I never have been able to identify it. And I don't think anybody ever will. He said that, of course, during a television interview around 10 years after the sighting. He also went on to say, we were in drifting flight and my partner, Ed White, was asleep. I couldn't see anything out in front of me except just the black sky. And it was rotating around. I noticed something out in front that was a white cylindrical shape with a white pole sticking out of it. And out of one corner of it, it looked like a beer can with a smooth pencil sticking out of it. I grabbed 2 cameras and took pictures of it. As the sun shone out of the window, I could no longer see out, and the thing just disappeared. The photos he took ended up inconclusive and blurry and did not seem to help solve the mystery. It wasn't until years later that McDivitt finally learned what he had seen that day. And really what it was a reflection of the bolts in the window, he said in 1999. So see, not everything's a UFO, kids. It just isn't. He also went on to say the windows were made up of about 3 or 4 or 5 panes of glass so that if one got broken, we still had some pressure integrity in the capsule. And these little things, when the sun shined on them just right, they'd multiply the images off of the different panes. And I'm quite sure that's what this thing was. So see, pareidolia is quite the thing.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, we can make an honest mistake up there, even if you're an astronaut. Not everything is perfect. So there you go. Our next story, Jess, has to do with the surface of Mars. There's a new photo up there that shows an enormous scar stretching across the surface, and it has people wondering what exactly is going on. In fact, I can show you here just what exactly this picture looks like. Here's, if I got this picture centered right. See that big scar there across Mars?
Yeah. Looks like Mars had a C-section.
It does, doesn't it? It looks like Mars' C-section scar. Makes you wonder what planet it gave birth to. Just saying.
Uranus.
It gave birth to a hemorrhoid. Just saying. This huge, stunning geological feature has been captured on camera in more detail than ever before. By the way, if anybody's watching on video, they got to love the fact that I've just got slides to show you, right? I know you're laughing right now like, yeah, slides to show you. I'm holding up my iPad to the camera so that Jess can actually see what it is. Yeah, for those
and then
of you.
I put my glasses on and I tried to see it.
And you're like putting on your cheaters and going, that's pretty cool, Tim.
Oh, I just realized my face probably gets huge when I get up there looking at it.
You get like real close to the camera and go, what the hell is that again? It's quite,
oh boy.
We're quite the pair, just saying. So this huge, stunning geological feature, we're real high tech around here. Yeah.
We're professional.
We are. Yeah, we're professional podcasters, I'll tell you. This huge, stunning geological feature has been captured on camera in more detail than ever before. Not us, but the scar on Mars. Snaking its way like a vast wound across the surface of the red planet, this huge scar-like ravine known as I believe it is the Anomalies Fossa, which sounds like a Star Wars character. Not going to lie.
It does.
Yeah. Measures approximately 600 kilometers from one end to the other. To put it in perspective, the Grand Canyon in Arizona is about 446 kilometers in length. So it's much larger. At least that's what they taught me in math. It's not the new math, but it's the old math. Captured by the European Space Agency Mars Express orbiter, this new image reveals that the Anomalies Fossa is in more detail than ever before and helps to put its immense size into sharp focus. Scientists aren't still exactly sure how this particular surface feature originally formed, although it is likely volcanic in nature, perhaps being created by magma pushing its way up from below. Even this behemoth, however, is tiny compared to its largest ravine on Mars, which is the Valles Marineris, which I believe measures a whopping 4,000 kilometers in length. So it's got some growing to do, that big scar on Mars. I don't know that that's appropriate, Jess, but I just throw it out there.
It's all right. You don't always have to be appropriate, Tim.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks. Thanks for throwing that in there. I debate as to whether I should bring this story back up again, but it was sent in by a listener, so I suppose we should kind of graze over it briefly. There's a story out there this week that was brought up by CNN about how Earth's core has slowed so much it's moving backwards, according to scientists. And it says, here's what it could mean. We can summarize it briefly because it does get a little confusing.
It is confusing. I was hoping you were going to tell me that it's going to make me get younger or age slower.
Yeah, it doesn't do that.
I don't think that's happening.
Doesn't do that. No, it doesn't do anything like give us superpowers or anything fun like that. So essentially, here's what it is. So deep inside Earth, you've got a solid metal ball that rotates independently of our spinning planet, like a top whirling around inside a bigger top, shrouded in mystery, which is kind of fun if you think about it. The inner core has intrigued researchers since its discovery by Danish seismologist Inge Lehmann in 1936, and how it moves, its rotation speed and direction, has been at the center of decades-long debate. A growing body of evidence suggests the core's spin has changed dramatically in recent years, but scientists have remained divided over what exactly is happening and what it means. Part of the trouble is that the Earth's deep interior is impossible to observe or sample directly. Seismologists have gleaned information about the Earth's inner core's motion by examining how waves from large earthquakes that ping this area behave. Variations between waves of similar strengths that pass through the core at different times enabled scientists to measure changes in the inner core's position and calculate its spin. Different rotation of the inner core was proposed as a phenomenon in the 1970s. I'll let you sing the song whenever you want, Jess, here. You can do it whenever you want. I mean, it's up to you. So it was proposed as a phenomena in the 1970s and 80s, but it wasn't until the 90s that seismological evidence was published that, according to Dr. Lauren Wozek, a senior lecturer of physical sciences at James Cook University in Australia. But researchers argued over how to interpret these findings, primarily due to the challenge of making detailed observations of the inner core due to its remoteness and limited available data, according to Wozek. As a result, studies which followed over the next years and decades disagree on the rate of rotation and also its direction with respect to the mantle, she added. Some analyses have even proposed that the core didn't rotate at all. So let's summarize here. The core rotates. So you've got a rotating core, you've got a rotating outer crust. The two kind of rotate in and out of each other, and then you've got even more inside that rotates on top of it. So you've got a solid, you've got a liquid, and the liquid rotates over the solid core, and then you've got our solid Earth on top of it, right? With that, Jess, there are different things that happen with these rotating cores, and the things that are affected, that we're affected by. First of all, it creates a magnetic field about the Earth, okay? So Earth's magnetic field yanks at this solid ball of hot metal, and it makes it spin. At the same time, the gravity and flow of the fluid outer core and mantle drag at the core. Now, over many decades, the push and pull of these forces cause variation in the core's rotational speed. One of the more interesting things that happens. So the sloshing of metal-rich fluid in the outer core generates electrical currents that power Earth's magnetic field, which protects our planet from deadly solar radiation. There's an interesting thing that happens with it. The other thing that happens as a result of the slowing and speeding up of this core that's happening is that we lose a little bit off of our day. That's what this article is getting to. We're going to lose just a
Hopefully
time.
not a lot. I need every second in my day.
I know, I do too. My day gets quite busy. So you may ask, well, Tim, how much of our day do we lose? It's literally just a fraction of a few seconds, or a fraction of a second. I'm sorry, a fraction of a second.
Oh.
But when the Earth speeds back up again, when that core gets done sloshing around, we get it back.
Oh, so it's like it never happened.
Yeah. So my point is what are we worried about?
Kind of like when I eat a whole sleeve of Oreos and then I go for a run. Like it never happened.
Right. Like, what was the big deal? Right? Yeah. I mean, what are we really worried about here? That's my whole deal. Although the gist of the article is that the spinning of the Earth's core in the inner core affects movement in the outer core, and the inner core rotation is thought to help power the Earth's magnetic field, but they need to do more research to figure out what exactly the inner and outer core do to not only power the Earth, but to affect the Earth in general, including like volcanic eruptions and things like that. So there's more research that need to be done as far as that goes. So there you go. I think there was a whole lot of hyperbole there. So, but it was interesting.
It's very scientific.
Yes, very, very scientific, and it got our heads spinning a little bit. So there you go. Along with the inner core and the outer core of the Earth, I guess. Let's try to
everything's just spinning.
I know everything's spinning right now. Let's try to settle our heads down a little bit here, Jess, before we go to break. Let's talk something that may make our heads more than just spin a little bit. Let's talk about something that will get our noses to plug as well. Scientists have discovered a planet the size of Jupiter that reeks of rotten eggs.
What?
Yes. Now, here's the problem I have when we find a planet like this, Jess. We have very simple names for planets, right? You've got Pluto. You've got Jupiter. You've got Saturn. You mentioned one earlier.
Uranus.
You got it. You would think that would be the name of a planet that's based on rotten eggs, right? You think they would have saved that one for the rotten egg planet. Not necessarily. They named this one HD 189733b.
What?
That doesn't sound like
Fart Planet would have been better. I can remember that.
Right. The Farty McFartiser planet, right? Farty McFartison. That's a great name for a planet. Farty McFartison.
It's much easier to remember.
It is. Or Fart McBart. That's a good one.
Or just egg fart.
Yes. The egg fart sandwich planet. Something where when you take the kids to the science museum, right? And it's time to open up the big telescope. And it's like, kids, there it is. There's Jupiter, and there's Pluto, and there's Mars. And sitting right there near Uranus is the egg fart planet. Look at that. What makes learning more fun than knowing that the egg fart is sitting right near Uranus? Just saying.
I love it.
Right? But no. So HD 189733b has been extensively studied by astronomers since it was first discovered in 2005. A new study now says the huge planet, it is a huge egg fart planet there, Jess, is bigger than Jupiter and smells of rotten eggs. Boy, nothing will get you a reputation faster than being a huge egg fart smelling planet. Well,
you definitely don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy on the Galaxial playground, right? No. HD 189733b is around 64 light years away from Earth and is known as an exoplanet, meaning it orbits a star outside of our solar system. Researchers said the planet likely smells of rotten eggs, again with the rotten eggs, due to the presence of hydrogen sulfide. Now, here's the deal. Crudely put, it's a gas familiar to people because it's the same. It's emitted in farts.
No.
Right. So just because it's in farts, they're like, oh, that's the farty planet. Right?
Well, it makes sense.
Just because you got a little fart gas in your atmosphere, farty 2x4 can't get through the kitchen door, right?
Hey, some parts don't even stink. So maybe it doesn't smell at all.
So it's the silent but deadly planet? Is that what you're saying here, Jess? Is that the... Huh?
No, the opposite. It's a really loud planet, but you don't have any smell associated with it. And you're expecting like this terrible stink, and you're like, huh.
Oh, so you're saying it's the sneaker, no smell, but tweaker planet.
Yes.
Ah, okay. All right. Dr. Guangwei Fu, can you hear me, Dr. Fu, is a researcher at Johns Hopkins University who led the study and said, so if your nose could work at 1,000 degrees Celsius, it would melt off your face, but if it could work, the atmosphere would smell like rotten eggs. How does Dr. Fu know? HD 189-733b, otherwise known as the stank planet, was studied using data from the James Webb Space Telescope, and this could help scientists understand how planets are formed. It's been quite a game changer, he says. It's really revolutionizing the field of astronomy, plus it's making a few scientists laugh, let's face it. It has delivered the capability promised, and it even exceeded our expectations in certain ways, said Dr. Fu. Do you think there's a few jokes around the lab about Dr. Fu's name?
Fun name to say.
It is, yeah. Because if you take the F and U and Fu and you separate it, it's just Dr. Fu.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, Dr. Fu. The planet is unlikely to support life because it's simply too hot, even though hydrogen sulfide is one of the indicators of possible alien organisms. Be careful, because if you take the Ni out of organisms, just saying. Of the planet, an estimated 13 times bigger than Jupiter, NASA said it may look like a friendly haven, but the weather is deadly. How deadly, you may say, Jess? Well, NASA added the planet's cobalt blue color comes from a hazy blowtorched atmosphere containing clouds laced with glass.
What? This planet just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, it isn't a nice vacation spot for aliens, that's for sure. How would you like to go to a planet that's cloudy with a chance of glass storms?
No, thank you.
It also has winds faster than 1.2 miles per second. That's second, folks. According to a previous study and discovery by the University of Warwick, the phenomenal wind speed is around 20 times anything ever recorded on Earth. The lead researcher on the University of Warwick's astrophysics group during the 2015 study, Tom Loudon, said their research helped them to map weather patterns on other planets. The planet regularly is studied. NASA explained that HD 189-733b, otherwise known as the gaseous ball, is one of the most studied of a class of planets now known as hot Jupiters. It's a hot mess.
It really is.
It's a hot Jupiter. Doesn't a hot Jupiter sound like a really nasty sex move? Girl, I'm going to give you the hot Jupiter. And you're like, what? No, stay away from wherever it is you need to get a hot Jupiter from. It just sounds bad.
I thought it sounded like a cocktail. I think our heads are in different places.
I think so, yeah.
I'd like a hot Jupiter on the rocks.
Oh, no. You don't put a hot Jupiter on any rocks. And I don't know what kind of rocks you're talking about. I go to a different place when you say that. Sorry. At over 10% larger than Jupiter, but 180 times closer to its star, HD 189-733b has a temperature of about 1,200 degrees Celsius. Its size and relative closeness to our solar system make it a popular target for astronomers. Past research has shown that the day side of the planet would appear to be a brighter shade of blue to the human eye, but probably due to the clouds of silicate particles high in its atmosphere. But again, cloudy, chance of glass.
Bad weather report.
Yeah, not exactly going there. Not going there at all. Tell you what, we're going to take our break right now. When we come back, we'll tell you why exactly We'll tell you the reason why China is leading the race in killer robot dogs. That's coming up next. We have some ghost stories for you. That's coming up as well. We'll tell you about the most haunted village in the UK. It seems like that's a common thread, I think, in the last few weeks. It's been the most haunted something in the UK the last few weeks. We'll also talk about some urban legends when we come back. Someone has pulled France's legendary Durandal sword out of its rock. And now, evidently, you get to be the new Charlemagne if you're holding on to this deal. Either that or the richest man on eBay. We'll tell you who that person may be if they've stepped forward by now. There's a man with 3 legs in a video. We'll talk about him as well when we come back. And we'll end the program today telling you about the newest vampire out there. We'll tease you with that. It's a Supernatural News Wednesday, along with Parashare. We do have a Parashare story today. So Supernatural News and Parashare today on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday, Supernatural News and Parashare. I'm Tim Dennis with your hosts, Jessica Freeburg. Jess, I got to tell you, even though it was a little warm today, it's more than a little warm, it was a little hot, a little muggy. I got to tell you, did I tell you I have 2 new birdies out there? There's 2 new birdies. No, I haven't told you about the 2 new birdies.
Oh.
I have 2 little new yellow birdies. There's Tweety and there's Steeler. So I have 2 new little birdies now, and they come up. I'm telling you, I think I'm going to change my name to Snow White. I have too many animals now out there in the front yard. But Tweety and Steeler, so I've got 2 new little animals out there, and they're the cutest little birds. I think they're finches because they're just tiny little birds.
Oh, I love finches.
Yeah, so they're just tiny, and they, for some reason now, I don't know why, but they come right up to me. I'm talking within 6 inches of my foot. And they want to just eat seeds.
That's crazy.
I know, isn't it?
I feel like they're going to fashion you a dress out of scraps of fabric. Like
right?
You're Cinderella. Get ready for the ball.
Right? I don't know. It's crazy. But lately, I've had all these different wild animals coming up to me. And Tweety was the first one to come up to me. And I call her Tweety because she's a little yellow bird. But she's this bright yellow bird with gray wings. And she just came up to me and started singing and tweeting at me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Which is the craziest thing. And so she just the sweetest thing. She just comes up and she's singing and tweeting. And so I'm like, she must be hungry. So I just, here's some seeds, right? They're right here in the dish. Just come up and eat. So she just came up and she's eating, and she's just the sweetest, cutest little thing, and she's so adorable, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so cute. And oh God, what? Really? When you want to stomp out my little bird? Oh God, I hate it. Do you think AI wants to stomp out my bird?
I think so. AI is evil.
Boy, is it ever. This stuff kind of depresses me, Jess. I'm not going to lie. Well, let's get on with it. I guess they can't make AI birds, can they? I can't even hear you right now.
I hope not. If they do, they'll make them killer birds.
That's right. They'd be killer birds. They would fly around pecking your eyes out. I think China will probably work on those. As they're set to release killer robots into battle within 2 years. And surprise, they're killer robot dogs.
Why?
With machine guns on their back.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know why that is the first thing that they're working on. Not only Boston Dynamics here in the States, but this new place in China. They're quick with the robot. Look at this robot dog. Here, I'm going to show our people on video, too. Look at that.
Oh, it's so weird. It's like got skeletal legs and like a camouflage top.
And no face. They don't want you to look it in the face.
Yeah, no head.
Yeah.
Gross.
Like some sort of dynamic Cerberus coming up to shoot you in the face. So China is on course to deploy killer robots into battle within 2 years, it's been claimed. The warning came as the communist state revealed it has developed robot dogs equipped with machine guns. Oh joy. Defense analyst Francis Tusa said China was not hindered by fears over AI, which would see them come up with new ship designs, new submarine designs, new fighter aircraft designs at rates which are dizzying. I'm just depressed reading this. They are moving 4 or 5 times faster than the states. He said, we are at the start of a race in truly autonomous systems. I would be surprised if we don't see autonomous machines coming out of China in 2 years. The robotic gun dog made by Chinese firm Unitree Robotics was unveiled last month during a military exercise with the Cambodian military. Mr. Tusa said being ahead of the West will appeal to the country's leader, Xi Jinping, and embolden Vladimir Putin. He said for the Chinese, it's the issue of have we beaten the Americans and the UK in getting a fully autonomous fighter aircraft? There's huge prestige. I think they'll go all out on autonomy and harnessing AI, and I think Russia will follow suit. The UK's Ministry of Defense is also spending millions on developing AI-based weapon systems. Well, fun. That's all I gotta say. Yay! How exciting! How joyful!
Thanks for sharing, Tim.
Yeah, that's neat. Meanwhile, our second nightmare fuel type story has to do with mind-reading AI turning our thoughts into pictures with unprecedented accuracy.
Scary.
Well, a little bit. I mean, maybe it can be used for good. Turns out that researchers have achieved a significant breakthrough in the field of neuroscience and artificial intelligence by successfully reconstructing images from brain activity. By employing an improved mind-reading AI system, they could produce closest reconstruction of images, particularly when using direct recordings of brain activity. This remarkable feat was accomplished by scientists at Radboud University in the Netherlands. They have clubbed the... That doesn't sound right. They have clubbed something, evidently. They have clubbed their previous study with the latest research to generate accurate reconstructions. As far as I know, these are the closest, most accurate reconstructions, said Umut Guklu. That's a heck of a name. A member of the research team. This mind-reading technology development has the potential to pave the way for new treatments for vision loss. The team has conducted 2 different studies. In the first study, they placed a few volunteers inside a functional magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI machine. The machine measures changes in blood flow in the brain, which can be used to understand brain activity. The volunteers were shown pictures of faces, and the fMRI machine captured the neural activity in the visual cortex, which was then fed into the AI algorithm. The AI was able to reconstruct the images that closely resembled the original pictures. The second study involved reanalyzing data from previous experiments where electrode arrays were implanted into a macaque monkey's brain to record its activity as it looked at AI-generated images. This time, the improved AI was able to reconstruct the original images with near-perfect accuracy. The images created from the monkey's brain activity were almost identical to the original images. This is because the implanted devices provided precise data on the monkey's brain activity. It's at this point I need to stop you. I believe we talked about this before, you and I did. During the 4th of July, I got together with some friends and we were talking about a restaurant up in East Bethel, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. This restaurant was actually in a golf club, and they still exist, although one of their best features was taken out of it in the 70s, Jess. And needless to say, it needs to come back. And what I'm talking about here, folks, I mean, Jess and I already know about it, but we're going to rehash it for you. And that's this. This restaurant, first of all, they serve the best prime rib ever. For those of you that are meat eaters, right? But, so while you're there getting your prime rib, right? So imagine this, you're a child of the 70s. You're already hyped up on sugar. You're being given pixie sticks left and right?
Yeah.
So you're jumping around. You don't have video games to keep you busy. So, you don't have like a Switch or anything like that, right? That you can take to the golf club. While mom and dad are, schwheeling, knocking down Manhattans and doing whatever, getting drunk to the nth degree. So you're sitting in a booth with nothing to do. They might give you a little placemat to color, which, by the way, we didn't have anything to color in the lines. So it was like draw your own picture and then color it in, type stuff.
Yeah.
Use your imagination, that thing that they don't use these days. So it was like, color your own placemat, make a rainbow, do something, leave us alone, let us squeal, right?
Yep. So
we would either have to color the placemat, or this particular place up in East Bethel, Minnesota, had a beautiful thing, Jess.
What was it?
They had a wall of glass, and behind that wall of glass, they had monkeys. Real life monkeys.
Just in there like throwing poop at the glass and stuff?
What is it with you people thinking that monkeys are always throwing poop?
Okay, eating the bugs out of each other's hair?
Yes, that's what they're doing.
They're doing that.
Yeah, they were doing that. Yeah. They were just being monkeys. They, climbing around on the little tree stumps or whatever it is that they're on, grooming each other and looking at the kids. They were looking at the kids through the glass and banging on the glass and whatever they were doing. But the monkeys were in there.
So sweet.
They probably brought the monkeys back when the cook was getting drunk. They were probably bringing the monkeys back to cook the steaks.
Those are some talented monkeys.
I'm telling you, they probably were washing dishes. I'm just saying.
I love that. I wish they'd bring it back.
Right. And so these friends of mine are sitting around going, why were there monkeys in a restaurant? I'm like, why not? Think about it.
Exactly.
It was the 70s. People didn't know how to watch children. So they put monkeys in a restaurant to watch the children.
And it worked. It probably wasn't very good quality of life for the monkeys trapped in that glass all the time.
That's what I'm thinking. But I think the monkeys were also working at the restaurant. I mean, in my mind, they also had jobs at the restaurant.
They got to come out at the end of the day and just go home with someone.
That's right. They got like the monkeys probably had like a 4-drink minimum. They probably had a tab. They probably had a bill at the restaurant. They got to eat a little bit. And then on top of it, Jess, right off of the restaurant, right off the golf course there was a nudist colony.
Oh my God.
So I'm sure they went home to the nudist colony. You people
probably did.
You people think I'm making this up. Look it up.
Just out with nature.
Yeah, they're out with nature. I'm sure they kind of, tip their hat to whoever was the bartender there. They walked right out the back door, went home to the nudist colony.
Yep. Climbed up in the tree and went to sleep.
That's right. Perfect life for a monkey. Strangely enough, though, sometime in the 70s, the monkeys disappeared. And there was mystery meat on the menu for about 12 weeks.
Stop it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That's a lie, Tim.
Who knows? But that's how it went. Anyways, with this story, just saying they were creating images that were very similar to the original images seen by the volunteers and the monkey. Basically, the AI is learning when interpreting the brain signals where it should direct its attention. So essentially, we're creating images that are reading the mind with AI. So people who are blind can see. It's not all bad.
I love that. Yeah.
Not all bad, I guess. I guess maybe things are looking up, Jess.
Yeah, look at us using AR for good. I like it.
Then again, maybe I'm just fooling myself.
And then the robot dogs come out.
And they shoot us. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all over.
No, maybe I am fooling myself. I admit. But at least maybe we can get monkeys back at the golf club in East Bethel.
That is our takeaway from this story. Bring the monkeys back.
Bring the monkeys back. I want something to distract me while I'm getting drunk and having my prime rib. I'm just saying.
Then you go sleep it off in the nudist colony.
That's right. I'll go sleep it off at the nudist colony. Nobody wants to see me nude. I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, I just want my monkeys back. Am I the only one that's obsessed with monkeys?
Oh, I'm right there with you. My son and I are absolutely obsessed. Like, even as he's a 21-year-old grown man, we go to the zoo and watch the monkeys.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's endless entertainment. Maybe it's just me. I think it's just me.
No, they're just wonderful. They're like us, only, simpler.
Yeah.
They just remind me so much of people, and then it's funny to watch them do the things they do.
Right. One can hope. I don't know.
I can see myself in them. That's what I'd look like if I was naked and hairy and eating bugs off someone. I'd look exactly like that.
I am at night, naked and hairy and eating bugs outside, but I'm just saying. But maybe I have more in common with these monkeys than I know. Who knows?
I think you might.
Yep. We have a Parashare story here, Jess. It comes from Christina Irwin. And she wrote in and said, "Hi, Tim, and hello to whoever is appearing as your co-host this week." Christina, I don't know how to put this, but I don't have people coming in every week just randomly off the street. This is Jessica, Christina. I don't know if you two have met. Yeah. And Mally, and that's it. And occasionally Beer City Bruisers stops by. So that's it. Those are the three. But yeah, there's no rotating cast of 100,000 that come in. I've stopped it at 3. But no, I'm kidding, Christine. I'm just giving you a hard time. She's been going through the archives, which thank you. Appreciate that. It's available at darknessradioshow.com. Please feel free to go through. There's lots of great programs there. And she realized that our mutual friend, Keith Johnson, demonologist extraordinaire, was a guest on one of the shows that had the Black-Eyed Kids on it. And it made her start thinking about a story that she has. So I figured, let's share it with everybody, shall we?
Yes, I love Black-Eyed Kids stories.
Yeah, so here's our Parashare story for today. She says, "I know that we now have shows like Psychic Kids and Paranormal State that talk about kids being more sensitive to the paranormal, but when I was a child and I saw things, I was terrified. As scared as I was, I would absorb anything related to the paranormal, be it fictional like Ghostbusters or shows like Sightings." I can relate to that. I got scared at stuff like that. I mean, not Ghostbusters, but I get it. I've tried to suppress it and rationalize it, but my mom and I were sitting down with my grandmother to discuss what stories she had growing up in the 40s and 50s, etc., when UFO sightings were high. Roswell, Edwards Air Force Base, etc., which I can imagine those were quite scary as well. My story goes back to when I was a small child. To the best of my ability to remember, as young as I was, time didn't mean much. The best I can say is that I had yet to see Michael Jackson's Thriller, and I believe it was before Ghostbusters. My grandfather was a farmer, and since he had cancer, he was my primary caregiver while my mother and grandmother worked. There were days that I don't remember seeing him. We lived in a rural area of Arkansas. The nearest big town was at least a half hour away. When my grandfather was feeling well, he would tell me stories about cryptids like the dog man that was living in the woods near our house. That had to absolutely scare the hell out of her. I'm sorry.
Yikes.
Yeah. I don't know how you went to sleep at night. It was why he told me to never leave the yard no matter what. We'd sit on a giant tire in the front yard. Then he'd disappear again. I don't know about Christina, but that's when I would crap myself right there in the front yard.
It's a little scary.
And then the dog man would come around the farm. Goodbye. No. You're not going anywhere, old man. That's what I would tell him. I'm sure that he was probably around, but I don't remember seeing him. And I would often eat whatever I found. Again, being raised in the 80s.
It's a miracle we survived.
Kids have it so easy these days, don't they?
They really do.
I mean, parents around all the time, caregivers, daycare. You always have an adult
Meals
around.
provided, snacks.
I know. Life is so easy these days. Anyways, I digress. Christina's story. I was terrified of being in the front yard because I had seen things that my adult mind is torn between rationalizing that I was hearing too many stories or the paranormal enthusiast side says I saw a portal. Whatever the truth, I was terrified. One day I am playing in the dirt in the backyard. I was within view of the kitchen window where my grandfather would drink coffee when he was in the house. I was covered in dirt and trying to avoid going in the front yard. Normally, my grandmother's Doberman would be under the house out of the sun or sitting next to me. Today, he wasn't. Oh, today's a bad day. I have no idea where he was. The horses were off in the field somewhere. The day was quiet, and only a light wind was blowing. I got the sense someone was watching me. I looked around. At the gate leading to the horses' pasture were 4 kids of various sizes and ages. They were all boys. I don't remember hearing them speak, but I do know they were all looking at me. They were pale, black pants and white shirts. They were too far away from me to say if they were black-eyed kids or not. What they said did not make sense. They weren't dressed for the weather either. The oldest was dressed in a black suit, white shirt, like Isaac wore from Children of the Corn, but no hat or tie.
Nope.
Yeah, we're done at that point, yeah. Here's what they said. Invite us in. We want to swim. Do you want to swim?
No. Mm-mm.
No. We can go to the pond. You can invite us in. Come on. You can do it. Invite us in.
Don't invite them in.
No. Christina says, when the biggest one smiled at me, it chilled me to the pit of my stomach, and I started screaming. I heard one of them warn me, don't. I got the feeling that I was going to be punished. My grandfather came from out of nowhere. He told me to stay where I was and not go anywhere. I didn't want him to leave, but he didn't let me go with him. Not that I wanted to go anywhere with those weird kids. He went to the fence and I was afraid to look. Eventually, I got the courage to look. My grandfather and the kids were gone. If they wanted to go to the pond, I should have been able to see them on the bank. I did not hear voices. I did not hear grass moving or twigs snapping that said that they were in the woods. To me, time stood still, and I was frozen in my spot in the dirt. If they had gone to the barn, the door would have been open. I started to cry. It was the first time I honestly felt alone out there in the middle of nowhere. I covered my face, and eventually my grandfather came back. He would tell me not to tell anyone. I was to stay quiet. I don't know if it was a dream or what, but I got it in my head that he was going to die soon. Something told me that he would die while I was at church. I would have panic attacks in Sunday school, and I would be brought home so they could show me that he was there. There were questions about whether I was acting out, and he would tell them to leave me alone. I would understand more than they thought and left it alone. I can only remember once at a revival that I screamed, cried, and demanded to be taken home. I don't know what it was about this different church, but I had to come home. So she was basically just freaked out at this different church.
Yeah.
The creepiest thing was I was at Vacation Bible School in June of 1985 when my mom came to pick my brother up and to pick me up as well. It was before snack time, which came just before Bible play practice, which was my favorite. We left and my mom told my Sunday school teacher my grandfather had just died. He had went to the pasture and then came back to his chair. He died in the kitchen chair where he drank coffee and apparently where he'd watched me play in the yard. I don't know if this was black-eyed children, but it was extremely creepy, and considering the work that my grandfather did in the military, I wondered if this was a daylight alien encounter. I really don't know what to think, but it seems a little more than convenient and coincidence with the fear, sense of anger, and he did die while I was at a church function. And that's where she ends it. So what do you think, Jess?
Boy, it sounds like Black-Eyed Kids. For sure, it's me. The request to be invited, it's almost like that, that's what they do. They need to get permission, right? To come and be with you. Yikes. What do you think?
With her grandfather being in the military, it's hard to tell without him having conveyed his military experience to her whether he had experience with aliens and what type of experience he had with aliens in the military, whether he was open to those with those beings in the military, if he had Black-Eyed Kid experiences in the military, and if so, he knew how to deal with them. And the way he dismissed her and then went out to deal with them, it was almost like he knew what he was doing and he was going to vanquish them. The fact that he knew he only had so much time left almost tells me that he was self-aware. And a lot of times, and I'm not saying he's the only one who's ever known this, a lot of times we almost know when the end is coming. And I think, to be completely frank with you, Christina, I think it was just this. I think, honestly, your grandfather, I know with my stepdad, when he knew his time was coming, he made sure my mom was out of the house. He made sure my mom went, and it was around Halloween. He made sure my mom went with my nephew and was having a good time and just was enjoying family. He wanted to be alone. He wanted to be on his own. He wanted to make sure she wasn't around because he didn't want her to remember that trauma. He didn't want that trauma inflicted on her. He didn't want her last memory of him to be that. I'm sure he didn't want your last memory of him to be that death memory. Or your family, for that matter. So I think that's a separate issue. Don't lump that in with this Black-Eyed Kid phenomena or alien phenomena. I don't think they had anything to do with your grandfather's death. I think it was simply you were away from home. It was okay for him to pass. That's that. As far as the Black-Eyed Kid thing, I think he knew more than what you think. I think he actually had some sort of experience while he was in the military with aliens, had an idea of how to vanquish them or get rid of them, and did so. And he was doing it to protect you and to protect the family. I think it's just as simple as that. So I think you're very fortunate, very fortunate. And a lot of times now, and we have Mitch Horowitz on the show tomorrow. It's a little bit of a tease as to who's on the show tomorrow. I know I said yesterday I would tease you as to who's going to be on the show tomorrow. One of the things that he says on Alien Encounters, Fact or Fiction, is that, and we've heard this before, is that alien visitations go down the bloodline. So he might have confronted these things so that they wouldn't continue to haunt you or your mother. Maybe he was ending it there. And maybe he had a way of ending it there. So maybe he truly is protecting you from any future visitations. And maybe that was his sacrifice to you. Just one way of putting it. So there you go. I have no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing it. And maybe that was his way of setting it right. Maybe you weren't meant to know. And maybe that's the gift. And maybe that's just, maybe you shouldn't look the gift horse in the mouth. Maybe that's, I don't know. And you know what, Christina, maybe maybe if you could follow up with us and let us know. Have you seen aliens since then or black-eyed kid since then? If you haven't, then you know. You know exactly what he did. But if you have since then, well, maybe I'm wrong. So there you go. I want to thank you so much for sending in your Parashare story to us. Again, if you have a Parashare story for us, send it in, tim@darknessradio.com. You can also send in your voice note by going to darknessradioshow.com. Click on that blue button on the right-hand side of the website. You have 2 minutes once you click that blue button. If you need more time, click on the blue button again. Do another 2 minutes. I'll stitch them together. We'll play it here on the show. So there you go. Let's see. Let's continue on with our stories. Our next story, Jess, is actually I'm gonna switch it up a little bit here. Let's talk about a little bit of an urban legend, if you will.
Ooh.
Although this involves a theft. We're going to France, where someone pulled France's legendary Durandal sword out of the stone, where it's been wedged for 1,300 years. It's kind of like King Arthur's sword, only it has to do with Charlemagne. I almost lost the name there for a second. It has to do with Charlemagne. And it's this, simply, that the French Excalibur has vanished from the rock where it was stuck for the past 1,300 years as police launch an investigation. I believe you, Jess, the other day said it perfectly. Look no further than eBay.
It's my suspicion. That's where they're going to find it.
I think so. It was put on X the other day that what we have here is either an act of terrorism or the fulfillment of some great prophecy. I don't think you need to get that grandiose about it. I think Jess has it solved for you. The French Excalibur has vanished from a rock it had been wedged in for the past 1,300 years. The famed Durandal sword is presumed to have been stolen from the southern village of Rocmadour, despite it being wedged and chained to the stone 32 feet off the ground.
Wow, how did they get it?
You got to be talented.
Spider-Man did it.
Well, it'd have to be, right? Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk.
College kids.
College kids or frat boys, drunk frat boys, probably. Takes a lot of wine to get there, evidently. How exactly does one climb 32 feet, snap a heavy chain, pull a sword from a rock? Well, it's not exactly like, pulling a sword from a hat. That'd be easier. Well, whoever did it must have been highly motivated. Durandal is held to have been wielded by none other than the legendary Roland himself. You may say, who's Roland? Well, he was one of Tears for Fears. I'm just saying it's, no, I'm kidding. It's not. That's the wrong Roland. People are like, Tears for Fears. Who's Tears for Fears? Just saying it. Only we.
They know.
Not the younger kids. They don't know who Tears for Fears is. Actually, you know what's cute? My nephew knows who Tears for Fears is. He's 12.
Oh, someone's raising him right.
Yep. See, there you go. Durandal is the sword of Roland, a legendary paladin and partially historical officer of Charlemagne in French epic literature. It is also said to have belonged to young Charlemagne at one point. By the way, he's a relative. Just saying.
Ooh.
Yeah. And passing through... I don't know how to say the word, so I'm not going to say it. And came to be owned by Roland. Isn't that embarrassing? I'm French. I can't even say the word.
French words are hard.
Yeah. The weapon has been a familiar sight in the town of Rocamadour for centuries. Rocamadour feels it's been stripped of a part of itself, but even if it and the sword are entwined, someone says, doesn't seem like the kind of object someone can hide for very long. Hopefully it or our new King Arthur / Charlemagne should turn up soon. I somehow...
Okay.
What's that?
I said, okay.
I somehow don't think someone that noble is going to show up.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm
telling you, it was drunk frat boys. They made like a cheerleading pyramid and they hiked each other up there.
Yeah. I don't think there's someone pure of heart showing up and going, here's your sword. No, it's not happening. In another type urban legend, and again, I will post the link to this video so you can watch it for yourself. A man with 3 legs is waiting at a railway crossing in a weird viral clip. And when I say a man with 3 legs, Jess, we're talking 3 legs and a pair of pants with 3 legs. Let me show
Are you sure that's a leg?
Yeah, no, I know what you're thinking. Take a look at that.
What? This looks like some weird AI photo.
It does, but there's also a video with it.
Wow.
And in the video, the man is walking.
Yuck, that's weird.
It is, isn't it? And let me tell you something. Sister. If that ain't a leg and he's walking, that's talent.
That is mighty impressive, sir.
That's right. A very strange clip has appeared on social media showing a man with an anomalous extra limb. That's what they're calling it these days. Sometimes when you're out and about, you come across something so strange that it not only makes you double take, but compels you to grab your phone and start recording while you still have a chance. One such moment was recorded recently by a driver in Peterborough, Canada, who was waiting at a railway crossing when she noticed something odd about a man who was also waiting nearby. The man, who was pacing around with his hands in his pocket, yes, he was, appeared to have 3 legs. Even weirder was the fact that the man's extra leg had its own extra trouser leg and shoe. She said, "What the blank am I looking at?" The woman can be heard repeating over and over and over again in the clip. Exactly who the man was and why he had an extra leg remains unclear. Now, the only thing I can think of is maybe the guy actually had an operating robotic leg inside his pants and he was pulling a prank on people.
Maybe he's just someone who was born with an extra limb. I mean, that does happen. Maybe he's like a parasitic twin and he ate his brother and all that's left is this one leg.
That could be. I mean, it might be. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's weird.
It's very weird. It's strange. But hey, I tell you what, I'll post the article in the description of this program. You can take a look at it for yourself and you can tell us, because I have no idea. Just no idea. It is bizarre, though. That's for sure.
Very strange.
The most haunted house in New Orleans is now up for sale, Jess.
Ooh, are we going to buy it?
If you've got the money, sure. I am nowhere close to having that much cash on hand. The French Quarter of New Orleans is home to the LaLaurie Mansion, a historical house of horrors once owned by actor Nicolas Cage. The residence is now back on the market, and despite the gruesome events that played out within its walls, prospective buyers can't seem to stay away. The mansion's terrible tale begins with its former owner, Madame Delphine LaLaurie, a wealthy socialite and slave owner. When a fire breaks out in the premises in 1834, those responding to the inferno were horrified by what they witnessed inside. They found LaLaurie's slaves chained up in deplorable conditions and bloodied by the madame's years of sadistic abuse. The reports of torture were so vile that a local mob formed to destroy the property. LaLaurie fled to Paris before the enraged citizens of New Orleans could bring her to trial. In the years following her escape, neighbors discovered numerous shallow graves scattered around the mansion's charred remains. LaLaurie's cruel legacy has solidified her as one of the most terrifying figures in Louisiana's history, with Kathy Bates portraying her in season 3 of American Horror Story. There we go. Realtors speculate the rebuilt house could now sell for a record $10.25 million, a price that many consider insensitive of the property's pernicious past. Some locals have suggested opening up the private residence as a museum that acknowledges the severe mistreatment of enslaved people in the United States. So, Jess, I would ask you, if you got a hold of the LaLaurie Mansion, what do you do with it? Or better yet, do you take and have the city of New Orleans buy it, or have a half private investor, half municipal investor come together and try and buy it? And do you rent it out to Hollywood, or what do you do with it?
I think that's a good idea. I would love to see it be made into like some sort of a museum where we could go and like, pay respect to the history of the location. It would be fun to be able to investigate it too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sleep over, spend the night.
I tell you, if the municipality can get a hold of it and use it for, like, say, half Hollywood rental, half Airbnb, bed and breakfast, something like that, where they can take and turn a profit on it. $10.25 million is a lot of money to invest in a property. And it's not like the municipality doesn't put big time dollars into things like sports stadiums and things like that.
Right.
But it's a lot to ask a private investor to come up with and try and recoup that type of money without wanting to hold on to it all themselves, It's a hard get, that's for sure.
That's for sure. That's a steep price.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Speaking of big-time properties, let's talk about ghost sightings abound at Yosemite's haunted Ahwahnee Hotel. The iconic hotel situated within Yosemite National Park in California is said to be the most haunted in the region. Yosemite itself needs no introduction, spanning more than 1,000 square miles of picturesque forests, mountains, lakes, streams, and glaciers. It also remains a popular visitor attraction all year round. For those looking to get a good night's sleep, the Ahwahnee Hotel, which opened back in 1927, provides weary travelers with somewhere to stay before continuing on their adventures. But within its unassuming walls lie tales of paranormal activity, ghost sightings, and other strangeness that has earned the hotel something of a reputation for being the most haunted in the entire region. Some of the alleged spooks spotted there over the years include those of the building's former owners, Mary Curry Tresider and her husband, Donald Tresider. You know what's interesting about this article? We talk about the owners with the last name Tresider. Yesterday, on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, the woman who threw her Apple Watch, her last name was Tresider.
Gosh, I think you're right. That is weird. What are the odds?
Yeah. Mary, in particular, who lived at the hotel until her death in 1970, has been seen dancing in the common room, and her presence is also often felt throughout the building. There are even claims that the ghost of President John F. Kennedy has been seen at the hotel. The story goes that due to a back problem, Kennedy had requested a rocking chair be brought to his room on the third floor while he was staying there. Since his death, some guests claim to have seen or heard a ghostly rocking chair in that location. The Ahwahnee Hotel is even thought to have served as a partial inspiration for some of the sets in Stanley Kubrick's 1980 horror movie, The Shining. So there you go.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time. I don't know what that is. I mean, if
Sounds
you're
like a road trip is in order.
Yeah. I mean, if you're an investigator, it's a good time. If you're just looking for a good night's sleep, it's not a good time. But just saying.
Yeah.
Our next story has to do with a mom who's terrified after a ghost starts mimicking her and shouts her daughter's name at night, which is absolutely terrifying to think of if you're a parent. A woman has been urged to check her house from inside out after allegedly hearing her own voice shouting her daughter's name when she isn't speaking, believing a ghost is mimicking her. A woman got the fright of her life after allegedly hearing her own voice shouting her daughter's name in the middle of the night. However, she claims she wasn't speaking and was instead awoken to the sound of a paranormal entity mimicking her. The moment terrified her so much that she took to Reddit for advice. She said, "My daughter's room is across the hall from my room. She keeps hearing me screaming her name in the middle of the night. She actually woke me up a couple of times by yelling back, and then as I'm waking up, I'm so confused about why she's yelling at me. The last time it happened was a few days ago. However, this time I woke up because I heard my own voice yelling my daughter's name, and I'm positive it wasn't coming out of my mouth." Admitting it freaked her out, the woman who lives in Ontario, Canada, says the air conditioning units in each of their bedrooms are usually so loud you cannot hear anything coming from another room. Which makes me think central air is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Not a bad investment. Yes.
Sound investment, I would think. Wanting to know if she experienced the paranormal or whether her mind is playing tricks on her, she asked on social media, are these mimics a real thing? What happens if you answer it? Or what can happen? Why are there such things if they are real, and what do they look like? Commenting on her post, one user said, I had a mimic actually. Everyone in my house has had an occurrence with it. It was wild, dude. Great language, bro. Another user added, no clue about the paranormal aspects, but I would suggest checking your house inside out to make sure there isn't anyone else hiding, which is creepy to think, right?
That's even scarier than a ghost.
Yeah. I've read so many stories of people hiding in secret compartments on a property and living there without the owners noticing. The thought of that is just scary. After this, I suggest getting a GoPro camera or any camera that is able to record for a long time. While a security camera might seem good, those don't record all the time. Just when there's movement in the camera, find one that doesn't continuous recording or is sound activated or does that. I would also suggest you check your carbon monoxide alarm and make sure it's working. You're not being affected by a leak. If all else fails, contact a priest or whichever religious leader of your own choosing. A third user said, maybe set up a camera in your room so it can record you sleeping so you can see if it is actually calling you out or not. Ghost or not, it certainly is a scary situation is what they went on to say. So there you go. Scary indeed. Frightening, just downright frightening. Our next story, it seems like every week we've got, lately, it's the most haunted blank in Britain, right?
Yeah.
So this week we've got the idyllic country village that is the most haunted in Britain. So this is
very haunted over there.
Right. But this one is according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Although this haunted village in Britain is Pluckley in Kent, which is an idyllic town just 90 minutes from London. However, the last time it was listed as the most haunted in the Guinness Book of World Records was in 1989.
Ooh, just a little while ago.
But they're saying they still believe it is because nothing's really been updated saying it isn't. Pluckley in Kent may look like the typical idyllic country village, but while beautiful, it's also reported to be the most haunted village in Britain. The village, which is just about a 90-minute drive from London, was also given the title of most haunted by the Guinness Book of World Records in 1989, with between 12 and possibly more ghosts reported to haunt the area. The title is no longer in use by Guinness, that particular title of most haunted village, leading to some questioning whether Pluckley is still the most haunted village in Britain. But either way, ghostly sightings are still being reported in the Kent town to this day. Among the ghosts said to be seen in Pluckley is the Red Lady, who is thought to have been a member of the aristocratic Daring family, who are local to the area. Her ghost reportedly haunts the graveyard of St. Nicholas's Church. The tragic legend surrounding her is that she walks the graveyard in search of the unmarked grave of her child, with different versions claiming she died in childbirth, that her child was stillborn, or that the child died shortly after birth.
Sad.
Incredibly sad, right? A second daring woman also haunts the church, known to locals as the White Lady. If you've got a red lady, you need a white lady. And then, of course, you need a rosé. On top of that, you probably need a Chardonnay. I'm just guessing. There's all.
Then a nice plate of cheese.
That's right. You need cheese, some crackers. You might want a charcuterie board. I don't know. It goes everywhere, Jess. So you have the White Lady, who is said to have been buried inside 7 coffins in an oak sarcophagus. Nothing keeps the White Lady down, Jess.
Oh boy, they really wanted to keep her in there.
I guess. Not much else is known about the White Lady other than she was buried wearing a white dress, hence her moniker. Well, it's kind of generic, right? Every town has a White Lady, right?
If I come back and haunt in white, please give me some fun name. Not the white lady. That's boring.
Right. Put your hair up in a bun. We can call you Bun Bun.
Bun lady.
Yeah, the bun lady, right? Or the lunch lady. I mean, because every lunch lady has a bun, right? I mean, just do something different. I mean, give us something to go on, you know?
Come back with a hairnet.
Oh, yeah, that would definitely be lunch lady if you had a hairnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up, lunch lady. White gown, got a hairnet.
Or come back with a pointer or a ruler, so we can call you a mean teacher lady. That'd be fun. Yeah. Another rather sad story is that of the monk in the Lady of Rose Court. The monk is said to haunt Greystones, which is a former rectory. Rectory damn near Kildare. No, I'm just kidding. While the lady haunts the manor house, which is Rose Court. Local stories claim that the two are connected in some way, although they differ in just how, with some claiming that they were friends, while others suggest that they were lovers or involved in some sort of love triangle. Now we're getting spicy. Ready for this?
Ooh, Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. Springer, y'all. Whatever the connection between the two, the story goes that the monk died of a broken heart. And the Lady of Rose Court took her own life by drinking the juices of poisonous berries and ivy. Why is it the lady always dies of like these horrible circumstances and the guy's like, I'll die of old age?
I just went to bed and didn't wake up, and the lady's like drinking poison and convulsing on the floor, vomiting.
She's like, I can't live without him. Let's die the most horrible death. And the guy's like, I'll let cholesterol get me. You know, it's always two different. I don't know. Some even claim that she died standing at her window looking towards Greystones.
Sad.
Very sad. Meanwhile, that guy's like, I got my whole life ahead of me. I mean, there's other women. Right. A Tudor lady has also been reported to haunt Rose Court, with some claiming that she and the Lady of Rose Court are actually one and the same. This ghostly figure can be heard calling for her dogs on the stretch of road between Greystones and Rose Court. So now we're bringing dogs into it, Jess.
That will be how I haunt. I will be the lady in white with the hairnet outside calling for my dogs. They'll probably be swearing, "Get back here, you son of a-"
The lunch lady with Tourette's with her dogs is what it'll be, right?
Yep.
Just saying. Other ghost stories of Pluckley include a highwayman known as the Screaming Man, a gypsy woman who drowned, and a phantom coach and horses.
A lot of fun stuff.
They got it all over there in Pluckley. I mean,
a little bit of everything.
Why not? Sounds like a great vacation spot. Next to the Iwani Hotel. I'm just saying. Stop at one, you stop at them all. You got to do it all. All right, Jess, we got a Bigfoot story to get to.
Yes, my favorite.
There you go. This just goes to show, once you graduate high school, life is not over. Everybody says, high school is the most exciting time of your life. With these teens, It's just getting started. That's right. They graduate high school, now they're leveling up. Just saying.
What happens? How do they level up with Bigfoot?
Well, I'll tell you. Cops had to go rescue some terrified teens from a growling Bigfoot with glowing eyes in a Louisiana forest amid a spate of sightings. A group of terrified teenagers have been rescued after an encounter with a glowing-eyed and growling Bigfoot in a Louisiana forest. I do have a small disclaimer that's coming up in the middle of this story. Just a tiny one. And when I say tiny one, I mean a tiny one. Here we go. Natchitoches Parish Sheriff's deputies said the recent high school graduates from Houma called in distress while deep within the Kisatchie National Forest late last week. The teenagers, aged 17 to 18, recounted a chilling encounter with what the group described as a creature resembling Bigfoot with glowing eyes. That according to Natchitoches Parish Sheriff's Office. Now, the group had reportedly ventured approximately 1.5 miles down Backbone Trail. Notice I said Backbone Trail. in southern Natchitoches Parish to camp out after their graduation festivities. One of the teens who was panicked by a growling sound and a mysterious figure standing about 5 feet tall, Jess.
Wait. That's a baby Bigfoot.
That's a baby Bigfoot with glowing eyes called emergency services for rescue. Baby Bigfoot was 5 feet tall, glowing eyes. They crapped their pants. At approximately 9:20 p.m., deputies assigned to the NPSO Patrol Operations Bureau responded to NATCOM 911 Center reports of a group in Gassy National Forest needing assistance. That according to the Natchitoches Parish Sheriff's Office. Now, Deputy B. Remo and Corporal D. Halliburton cautiously approached the campsite, alert for any signs of danger. Keep in mind, it's a 5-foot baby Bigfoot. Just saying. Following the sounds of the group's whistle, the deputies located them unharmed but visibly shaken. They probably threw a bottle of baby Bigfoot milk out in the middle of the forest, let baby Bigfoot chase it, and then they ran. I don't know. Upon arriving at the campsite, deputies escorted the teens safely out of the forest. Because after all, it was baby Bigfoot. What was baby Bigfoot going to do besides go get mama?
Well, that would be scary.
That would be scary.
I bet Mama Bigfoot gets mad.
She probably does. You got to go find her first. Despite thorough investigation, authorities were unable to corroborate reports of a creature matching the description provided by the group. The NPSO concluded their statement congratulating the graduates, thanking them for visiting Natchitoches Parish and Gassy National Forest, and wishing them success in their future endeavors. Because after all, kids, congratulations on graduating high school, but not quite making it through baby Bigfoot.
We got to toughen those kids up a little bit.
Yeah. Something tells me they couldn't quite climb the rope in gym class if you can't make it through baby Bigfoot.
Probably not.
No. Many social media users expressed skepticism. There's a shock about the encounter, doubting the details recounted by the teens in the comments. According to some, the glowing eyes could have simply been a reflection from a flashlight, possibly originating from local wildlife like a black bear or a wild hog. Here's the quote: "If they used a flashlight, the eyes might have glowed. Probably a black bear, possibly a wild hog," one wrote. Others praised the teens for their quick decision to seek assistance rather than trying to navigate the forest alone while feeling distressed. Maybe they needed a binky or a nap. Is what's no, that was my quote. I'm sorry. I might have taken it too far. Seems they were too scared to walk out on their own and had to call for help, another user commented, thinking much along my lines. Mm-hmm. Others joked that the group must have taken a substance or a drug that led them to see things that were not there. When the mushrooms kick in, one commenter said.
Oh.
I'm kind of with them. However, the encounter comes after previous reports of Bigfoot activity in the same forest, so there is precedent. In 2019, within the depths of Gassy National Forest, two researchers known only as Tex Law and Claude, which is a new special on the Sci-Fi Channel, I hear, they conducted a nighttime expedition where they howled 4 times into the forest as Bigfoot and received 4 howls back.
Ooh,
yeah.
Got a response.
Yeah. Tex Law, an experienced Bigfoot researcher from Baton Rouge, explained their methods involved using an audio device and cameras camouflaged among the trees to capture evidence of Bigfoot's presence, that according to the Town Talk. Claude also emphasized the importance of interpreting subtle signs, such as twisted tree limbs and mysterious markers, which they believe could be indicative of Bigfoot's presence. Allow me to do Tex Law's voice for you if I can.
Oh, yes, please.
Here's what he told the outlet. "T is what it is. If you choose to believe, that's great. If you choose not to believe, that's great too."
Well said, sir.
I just imagine that's what Tex Law sounds like.
You nailed it.
He also added, "A lot of people don't want to come forward because they don't want to be there. They're intimidated. They just don't want to be intimidated."
That's true.
Yeah. Claude said he was able to get photos of a Bigfoot tracks that in that area that they had researched. Claude went on to say, nothing remarkable, nothing to write home about, but they is, to my way of thinking, good tracks. Jess is just like,
Yep.
Yep. Claude also added, this comes amid a spate of reported sightings of Bigfoot in various states across the nation.
Well, there's a lot of them.
Yep. By the way, in October of 2023, a multi-state investigation was launched after a compelling Bigfoot sighting in Colorado energized other U.S. states to step up their search efforts. I don't know, have you been out in the backyard looking for Bigfoot lately?
Not in my backyard because we built a new house and we lack trees. So I just don't feel like you'd have a very great place to hide out. But I will say, I do believe these kids saw something. I'm not going to say I disbelieve them because that area is rife with Bigfoot, Tim.
Have you tried looking under the new porch?
I don't think he's under there.
But it's a good place to hang out and sleep.
We do have a lot of frogs and toads under there, though, and some little slimy slugs.
Oh, that's good food for Bigfoot.
I know. He should come on over. I would love it.
It's good appetizers. I'm just saying. Just saying. With that, we have our final story for the day, Jess. I teased earlier that it had to do with a vampire.
Ooh. I like me a nice Brad Pitt vampire.
Oh, have you watched the new Interview with a Vampire series on AMC?
No.
You haven't seen it? There's no Brad Pitt. But it's that's
okay.
It's very intriguing. I like it.
I'm sure they have an equally handsome actor playing the vampire. They always do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no judge, but yeah.
You can appreciate a handsome vampire.
Sure, absolutely. And yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, they're in their second season. So if you have AMC Plus or you have access to that system, yeah, you should. It's very good.
Pretty good.
Very good series. Very good series. This vampire, however, I don't think is going to strike fear in the hearts of the species around it. I'll put it that way. And here's why, Jess. Never before seen vampire squid species is discovered in the twilight zone of the South China Sea. Yeah, I know it wasn't quite what you were
expecting. It's a squid.
It's a squid. Scientists have discovered what appears to be the second known living species of vampire squid swimming in the deep water off the Hainan Island in China. It's true, scientists in China may have identified a newfound species of vampire squid, only the second known species in the world. Vampire squid, known as Vampirothrus infernalis.
Whoa.
I nailed it.
I thought you were having a little episode.
Yeah, you thought but no, you thought I got stuck there, but I didn't. Reach lengths of about 1 foot. That's it, about this big.
Oh, it's just a little guy.
It's the cutest little squid ever. They reach about 1 foot or 0.3 meters, despite their menacing appearance and name. No, it's the cutest little guy ever. They are deep sea scavengers and are likely to harm anything aside from small invertebrates. And in fact, they actually gravitate towards eating shit and dead animals. I'm just going to put it out there. That's what they eat. They're shit eaters.
Oh, no.
That's it. They really aren't that dangerous.
They're just nasty.
Yeah, they're nasty little vampires.
They wear a little cape and say, blah, blah, blah.
Or, that tastes like shit. It's pretty much what they do. Yeah. The species has been found in temperate and tropical ocean environments in many areas of the world. The only officially recognized species was described in 1903 following a deep-sea expedition led by German marine biologist Carl Chun, who had to be so happy when he found one of these things.
Exciting. Found him down there eating some poo.
So, yeah. Get that out of your mouth. It's dirty. I mean, not very exciting.
He's probably out there planting little piles of poop to try to catch them.
Get this.
He's just out there squatting.
He's like, eat that.
Gonna catch me a vampire squid.
Catch me a vampire squid. A number of additional species were later described, but eventually turned out to be members of the same species. In other words, they don't vary much. There is one called a supposed newfound species of juvenile forms of V. infernalis, which had very different physical characteristics. The squid grows a second set of fins. I know, it's so exciting. Closer to its head as it matures and its original fins disappear. I can hear people out there going, F yeah! Right? The excitement is growing. I can feel it out there. 10 synonymous species that had previously been described and showed some morphological differences in their various life stages. Study lead author Daejun Wee, a marine biologist at the South China Sea Institute of Oceanology and a guy who likes to watch vampire squid eat shit, told Live Science.
Oh, this story.
So that's that's pretty much. Yeah.
Good way to end it, Tim.
Yeah. Did you want to hear about the new study that appeared on May 2nd in the preprint journal? I don't think you want to, but anyway, so. There's not a lot of variation in shit-eating vampire squid, but I'd just like to say shit-eating vampire squid makes for a good story.
Oh, there's a special light that comes in your eyes when you say it.
Yeah, I know.
You look like a little boy that's just thrilled.
And by the way, they're also the subject of the new Twilight movie. So there you go. So that's how we end today's Supernatural News and Parashare. So Jess, you have exciting news on your end.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I finished a book. I got it turned into my editor on Sunday. I'm so excited to be done with it. It feels really weird not to have to end every night with writing until 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's nice.
That is nice. That is nice. Also, you have 2 books right now that are available for pre-sale. We have a link in the description of this program, so you can go get those books. Also, you were not just busy with writing a book, you got some dates announced for this coming winter.
I did it. I put it up on my website. I've got tickets available for the November event at the Palmer House. It's going to be very fun. We're actually doing like a 1920s speakeasy spirits theme, and we're going to have a jazz band, and you can wear your zoop suit and your flapper dress if you want. It's going to be fun.
Right on. So go check those out. There are 2 dates now for Jess's group to do some ghost hunting up at the Palmer House. Be sure to get those tickets now before they leave quickly and you're just fresh out of luck and aren't able to go check out the Palmer House with Jess's group. They're amazing trips. They're great trips, creative trips at that. So there you go.
They're so fun. Yeah, we do workshops. I mean, that's kind of what sets us apart from the other paranormal investigations that go on out there is we do art workshops, there's writing workshops, there's history workshops, there's some mindfulness stuff that we do as well. And then, of course, we have a paranormal investigation and always try to find a way to make it a fun party, too. So
there you go. There you go. As far as we go here on this show, tomorrow on the big show, Mitch Horowitz is with us. Big-time TV star from Alien Encounters Fact or Fiction. He'll be with us tomorrow. We're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of that program. We're going to dive deep into the program and talk a little bit about not just the fact that these people come into this program loaded for bear, ready to pluck down their experiences and prove that they've had these experiences. But the fact that this program is different in a couple different ways, that they have empathy for the people that have had these experiences, but also that they come loaded for bear as well. They come loaded with analysts that are ready to debunk these experiences. That they're ready to tell these people, you didn't have an experience. which is unusual. That's unusual to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, you didn't have an experience. So we'll talk to Mitch about that. We'll also talk to him about why whistleblowers can't go to the U.S. government and feel safe, but people can go to a TV show and feel safe and talk about their alien experiences.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about why this show, Alien Encounters Fact or Fiction, is the first TV show ever in the history of paranormal TV to come up with actual physical evidence of the paranormal. It's going to be an interesting show tomorrow.
Sounds awesome, because they're not just trying to disprove, they're trying to prove or disprove either way, right?
That's right.
They're bringing the scientists in to give real evidence, which I love.
That's right. They're actually trying to prove that people have had experiences. So
sounds awesome.
Very interesting show tomorrow, right here on Darkness Radio. So Mitch Horowitz on deck tomorrow. So, and again, if you have a guest that you want to hear on the big show, email me, tim@darknessradio.com. And when you email me with your guest suggestion, just, again, send along a little bit of information as to how to get a hold of the guest. I mean, by all means, I can play detective as good as anybody. But, if you have a lead on how to get a hold of this person, and don't send me, I'd like you to interview President Joe Biden. Good luck on that deal. But, throw me somebody within reason. I think I can chase him down. I'm pretty good at that.
You're pretty good at that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, tomorrow's going to be a good show. We got some pretty good shows lined up for the next month or so. So we're gonna chase it down, see if we can make that old dog bark, so to speak. that's
As long as it's not one of those AI dogs with rifles on its back.
No, not with the machine gun on its back. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to listen to the show. And again, if you enjoy what you hear on the show, give us a great review. Give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to the show, whether it be Apple Podcasts, whether it be Spotify, wherever it is that you're listening to the show. Keep it nice. Don't be a smart ass about it. That's all I gotta say.
Be kind.
Yeah, be kind. So that'll do it for Jessica Freeburg. I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to this program, and we will see you tomorrow for Mitch Horowitz, Alien Encounters Fact or Fiction, right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.